I believe I'm live. So I'm trying something new here, trying to go live on Instagram and Facebook simultaneously using our old iPhone. I'm trying to get this string out of the way. There we go. All right, so the goal tonight is I'm inspired to share on the heels of Imaging USA. It was just there. It was a great program. Wonderful to connect with all the photographers, be live back in person. So I was inspired by a lot of topics of conversation. There's all these programs on lighting, right? So I want to share with you my experience on lighting. So let me whip this around here, and then I'll move the Instagram camera too. So I'm kind of trying something new here to reach a wider audience. So we've got StellaPros, which is a hybrid light. Canon EL1, top of the line Canon Speedlite. Profoto A1, A10, A whatever you want to call it, not much change. Westcott FJ80, got them all in there. Got transmitters, we've got everything you could possibly go for. If you have any questions about these flashes, and I'm also going to talk about Godox, because I am intimately familiar with them. To date, in my opinion, there isn't one perfect flash location lighting system, period, right? All right, so let's pop over here and see who's joined. There we go, Joel Lerner, how you doing? Got lots of folks coming in here. John Wick, always good to see you guys. Mike, hello. Thanks for joining. Pop in. If you have any questions, again, drop it in the feed. This is going to be a long one. This is going to be a brain dump. I'm always searching for that perfect location lighting system. So doing weddings and event photography really taxes the heck out of any lighting system, right? And I'll explain what I mean by that here. Trying to get the cameras in a good position for you. So here we go, get this one over here. All right, can I get a thumbs up? Audio okay? Everybody can hear me everywhere? There we go, good. Okay, so there isn't one perfect system. I'm looking for an ecosystem to where I could use Speedlights, which are my primary tool, because I could do so much more with more lights, plural, than more light, meaning a 400 watt second or more powerful head. Now I do use them, but still to this date, I don't know if you found this experience, there is not one perfect ecosystem. They all have their pluses, they all have their minuses. I'm not here to beat up on anybody, but I do want to share with you what we're faced with now more than ever, and that is wireless interference. Meaning if you go to a venue, public spaces, now more than ever, there are more wireless devices in the environments that we're working that wreaks havoc with many of the flash systems. So right off the bat, all of these communicate at 2.4 gigahertz. That's Wi-Fi. So let's start with the Canon EL1, because that's my always go-to choice. And the reason the EL1 is my go-to is many reasons. One, it doesn't overheat. Two, it no longer has AA batteries, but it has a lithium-ion battery, right? Nice big rechargeable battery. Recycle time is insane. Canon, thank you for leaving the external battery pack connection. So let me grab that. With the B&H Cyclone DR PP500DR, I'll try and remember to put all this stuff in the comments. I could literally go all day with the EL1, never overheating, frame to frame to frame consistency. And another reason it's frame to frame to frame consistency with TTL is because the new TTL system on all of the latest mirrorless cameras, if you're operating on the latest firmware, is the eTTL is connected to the face. So the active focus mark onto the face. So I have, the accuracy of TTL is just shot through the ceiling. It's kind of like using flash exposure lock, taking a meter reading and backing off. So quickly, let me throw out a disclaimer. I am a Canon Explorer of Light. I am a Westcott Top Pro. I am not sponsored, but I've been testing products for Stella. I've been testing and working with Profoto products since the B1 came out, right? I know my shit, right? I know it's gonna work. I know it's gonna fail. And I do use all these lights, and I'll get to that, at different jobs, right? But I'm gonna be brutally honest with you as to what works. These lights are expensive. The new EL1s, if you could find them, they're not in stock anywhere, they're $1,000. But they are a powerhouse of a Speedlite. It's a bigger head. We have a modeling light, as we do with all of these. All have modeling lights. And here's where things differ. So I'm gonna go feature by feature per line, right? So they're all pretty much equal in power with the exception of the Stella. The Stella is a hybrid light, and there's a time and a place for that. I like the continuous light feature on it. The ability, you know, I can use this light in museums where they say no flash allowed. Well, now it's not a flash. And light to me is kind of like a paintbrush, right? There's different quality of light. So continuous light has a different look and feel than snap of a flash, okay? No matter how you diffuse it. There's just a different look and a quality. So again, the light helps me bring out the character in the subject or the photograph I'm trying to create. And oftentimes I have to look at the subject quickly in the space that I'm in and decide quickly which light would work best. Okay, so like I said, for the most part, the EL1 is my go-to light. So as you know, we have a modeling light, right? We can change it between daylight and we could change it between tungsten. It works great for video, all those sets of things. And when it works, and what I mean by works is connectivity. So when it works, there's nothing I'd rather have. Now, the only other disappointment is I've been begging Canon for at least a 200 watt second off-camera flash. Again, the reason I love this is because I use TTL a lot. On camera, pretty much 90% of the time. So if I'm moving, right, and the subjects are moving, that flash is in TTL because it allows me to capture the moments more accurately with the flash that I need in the environment that I'm in, right? So TTL is of value. And again, going back to Canon and the mirrorless, the TTL is connected to the active focus mark, and if you have face, head, eye detection on, it is incredibly accurate. That's why I love it. Now, let's pick on them, okay? Again, the strengths are extremely accurate, truly independent groups. So you have A, B, C, D, E, 5 groups. You could have up to 16 flashes total, connect up and fire, right? It operates on the radio frequency of 2.4 gigahertz. Within the 2.4 gigahertz, we have the option of 15 channels and auto. Now, I don't encourage you to use auto at all. And here's the reason. If you're in any environment, and now pretty much everywhere has radio frequency interference. There's public Wi-Fi. There's 10 people with cell phones next to you. All of this creates radio frequency interference. And we had lots of discussions with fellow photographers, you know, at Imaging about why we're struggling more than ever. So Canon, again, I love them. I'm a Canon Explorer of Light, but I'm going to be honest. They're on the most common channel within the 2.4 gigahertz frequency range, which also means they are susceptible to the most radio frequency interference. So if you're photographing cocktail hour and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 flashes around the room and you're trying to connect to them and they drop off, you know, and you could see, that's another thing I love is the two-way communication. I get an indicator for each group. There's a lightning bolt icon there. That's telling me that we're linked up and connected. Not only the green light is a connection indicator, but then for each group, we get an indicator, right? So we have a green light and a lightning bolt for each group. Truly independent. So I can mix and match manual, TTL, ratio within TTL up and down independently of everything. Turn the on-camera flash off so it's not contributing, just a trigger, on and on and on. So that's why I absolutely love the interface and the features of the Canon system. But again, give me an ecosystem, like another more powerful flash. I don't want to gang up $2,000, $3,000 flash heads to get flash outside. So if I'm in a bright sunny environment, well then I'm going to switch to a monoblock. So either the Westcott FJ400 or the Profoto B1, right? And there's reasons why I would use either one of those. Okay, let's clear something right off the bat. Westcott does have a feature called Canon RT, which is different than Westcott FJ Canon Speak. So Canon radio signal or Nikon radio signal, those are all proprietary within the Westcott FJ system. So when you pick those on the back, which Westcott has done, and I admire them for trying, is a universal trigger. So with that, they're trying to be able to put this flash on 6 or 7, I believe, different camera manufacturers and have it all work. The challenge is with that, and I know I'm going off track from Canon, I'll get back there in a second, is even though this will do Canon RT, it will speak Canon RT. Remember, they had to reverse engineer it. So they're even less reliable in Canon RT to communicate with a Canon RT flash system. Now, Westcott in Canon Westcott Speak for Canon cameras, rock solid. I've worked with them a lot, and now they have, to oversimplify things, 2 signals that go out from their radio. So it has a first signal, and if it reaches interference, there's a second signal with information pack that will communicate and give it the instructions. Now, because they're trying to be universal, all things do not work equally. For example, Nikons are all electronic shutter, especially the Z9. Canon, which I use, R5, R3, have mechanical shutter and electronic first curtain shutter. I found that the Westcotts work better in mechanical shutter on here for TTL. Now, if you're not worried about TTL, they're going to fire great. Westcotts have great color consistency, great recycle time, all of the above. And they're more reliable than Canon for 2.4 gigahertz. In fact, all of our second shooters now have a set of Westcotts, especially folks that shoot Nikon. So they work great, right? The only thing is let me get back to Canon, is it has its own set of quirks. Meaning, TTL is different on the R3 than it is on the R5. And that's because of all the stuff that's going on in the background, trying to be universal and offer TTL to Nikon and to Lumix and the Panasonic and on and on and on. So when you get one accurate, boom, the other suffers. My R3 always suffers whenever there's a new firmware update on either Westcott or Canon. The last wedding of the season I did, I couldn't get TTL to be consistent no matter what I was trying, right? Because I had my Canon Speedlights set up for my triangle of light down in the ballroom with the Bolt battery packs. Again, the Canon Speedlights with the Bolt battery packs are insane performers. Again, if they connect. And we're going to get to that in a second about connection. So, you know, I was missing moments because I was trying to do CTL. It was hot. It was cold. It was overexposed. It was underexposed. So then you have to limit yourself, say, hey, wait a second, I can't be getting frustrated over this gear. I'm going to stay 4 feet away, and I'm going to set the flash power to, let's say, 1/132nd output. And then your off-camera flashes could be, 90% for me are in manual mode, around an 1/8, 16/4 power, right? To bring that depth and dimension. So that worked, but that's frustrating because again, as event photographers, we need TTL. We need to be able to come in close and to move and to capture those moments and to keep on going, right? You guys agree? Yeah? Can I get a thumbs up? Everything good? Right? Sorry I'm not addressing the comments. I will address them afterwards. there's a lot of information here to dump. All right, let's go back to communication. Canon. The best thing you could do is in every environment, wherever your light is going to be placed, scan. What I mean by that is we go into the submenu and we go to the scan feature and we hit scan. Now the Speedlite is detecting how much radio frequency interference is in the environment you're in. Now I've been at events where I have zero communication, but here at my home, it's pretty good, right? Usually 9 times out of 10, channel 15 is your strongest, right? That's gonna work. So myself, Larry Remacher, he's one of our second shooters. He shoots all Canon. We could both be on channel 15 and we could put our own personal identification number in and everything is gonna work. Now also, always, always, always have a backup plan. Let me come over here and grab my backup plan, right? Backup is key because let's say I love the TTL and I need that on the dance floor for the EL1. I carry the Pocket Wizard Plus 4. Now again, this is a big brain dump, so stick with me if you can. What I love about the Pocket Wizard Plus 4 is there's nothing in this frequency range. They're gonna work always. It's very rare that Pocket Wizards are affected by radio frequency interference. They can be affected if you're stashing them a few hundred feet away and there's a lot of metal or you're trying to go through a thick concrete wall, right? So again, get to your venues early and test. So another thing I love about the Plus 4, again, they're not making them, I don't know why, they swapped them out, is the pass-through shoe. So the reason I love the pass-through shoe is this. So let's say we're in an environment, I want the insane recycle time. I could shoot my R3 in H+, right? And I'll show that to you. H+, and it's gonna keep up, okay? So I have the flash behind me in B. I'm gonna put the Pocket Wizard on. Now, I can shoot away, right? And you can see it's gonna keep up. That's in single frame, here's in H+, right? It goes and goes and goes. Accurate TTL. Now, if I have a problem communicating with my off-camera flash, right? I could take a Pocket Wizard Plus 4, which has 4 groups, right? My off-camera flashes are usually in manual between an 1/8, 16th, and a 1/4 power. So I could turn those groups on and off. Now I cannot change the power output, but this is my backup plan. So if I really want to go crazy with the recycle time on the dance floor, I could still have TTL because of the pass-through shoe, and I could have reliable communication off camera. Now you might say, well, why not just use the Profoto A1s or the A2s or anything like that? I'm going to dig this out here, and I'll tell you why. Battery. The mistake Profoto has made is they've dumbed down all their lights and all their system, right? And what I mean by they've dumbed it down is we no longer have a PC sync. So if I wanted to use this, and let's say it failed, knock on wood, Profotos have never failed me, no matter where I've used them. I've used them all over the world, Europe, Times Square, things like that. And their RF, even though it's on 2.4 gigahertz, is a proprietary channel. And I can't ever recall a time where they failed to communicate. But again, I would like an external battery port. Why? Because these batteries just die so fast. You know, and I've got to have 10 of them at least. If I've got 5 Speedlites, I've got 2 batteries for them, and I'm charging the A1 batteries on site. I don't have to do that with the Canons or the Westcotts. So that's an advantage. But these are rock solid. Their TTL is way better than Westcott's, far more accurate, no matter if I'm using an R5, an R3, an R6, whatever. It works, TTL, and it's worked forever, and works really, really well. Fast recycle time, modeling light. The only drawback, besides the battery, is it's not truly independent groups. So I don't know if you're aware of it, but Profoto goes up to like 10 different groups at least, right? Don't quote me, but they go through a lot. You have on the A series Speedlights the ability to control, or should I say, control 4 groups, A, B, C, and D. While it will fire all of the other legacy groups, you cannot control them, meaning you can't turn the power up, you can't turn the power down, and there's no two-way communication. So if I'm sitting here using the A10, A1, whatever, their latest A series on camera, and I have my off camera in manual mode and I forget what it is, and I want to raise the power up or down, I have to either have my assistant or I have to run over to that light and say, what power output is it? So I know how far up I could go or how far down I could go. Come on, Profoto, that's firmware, that's software, that should be in there, two-way communication. Now, while they can do that with their Connect Pro, the transmitter, it's not unified across the transmitter or their Speedlights, which are a transmitter, right? I should be able to hit a shift button like you can on the Connect and go to every group, turn them on, off, power up, power down, change them from manual to TTL. Right now, we have 3, right? So the slide switch, while it's pretty convenient, manual or TTL, what that's doing is affecting A, B, and C. D on this light is always and forever in manual mode. Again, no two-way communication. If I forget what D was at power output-wise, I gotta go look at it or send an assistant. Reliable communication, but dumb for event photography, right? Come on, Profoto, this is just software. I've been talking to these guys about that since they came out with the A series, right? Even their controllers themselves. Got it here somewhere. I'll pick it up in a second. Oh, the TTLC. Right here, I don't even have the latest one because I don't use them often enough. Like I said, Canon's gonna be my go-to one if I need to. But again, I could only see and affect groups A, B, C, right? I could change them between manual and TTL, but all together. And they do have very, very accurate TTL to manual. Very accurate for all groups across the board. Canon, same thing. Canon now has TTL to manual for all groups across the board, right? It works. Westcott is a little funky, right? Come on, Westcott, let's get this together. And what I mean by funky is, on the Westcott here, is TTL to manual only works in group A, right? So your on-camera flash is in group A if you're using it. If you have an off-camera strobe, it has to be in group A if you want to go from TTL to manual and shift it, and it will lock in the power output. Dumb. Come on, folks, let's separate these groups. Westcott is second to Canon with the independent group ability, but there's lots of quirks. Again, let's address a quirk. Whatever you do in TTL to the A group affects all the groups below it. So you truly, in TTL, cannot ratio the flash output. What I mean by that is if I have group A at +3, right, and I want to lower TTL flash output of group C, B, D, whatever, right, I can't because it's linked directly to the TTL output of A. So even if I turn off A and it's not even contributing, it's still receiving biased information for everything that is TTL. I use TTL a lot, because it's just helpful for events and things that are moving quickly. So that's really quirky. Again, rock solid communication, rock solid ability to turn your remote modeling light. Where are you at? Here we go. Let's power this one on, right? Bring this over. There we go. So it's group B. I could turn the modeling light on. I could turn it up. I could turn it down, right? Okay, modeling light quirks. Profoto's the same way. I could turn them on, turn them off per group. Only A, B, C, and D. The other ones I can't. Canon, while it has a modeling light, I cannot affect anything remotely. Now the EL5 on the hybrid shoe with the R3 or the R6 Mark II, you can remotely turn all the modeling lights on or all the modeling lights off, not independently. A lot of times for my backlight, I want to say, hey, and I usually put backlight in the last group, group B, turn the modeling light so I can frame it and make sure I'm not flaring into my lens. With Canon, I can't do that. I have to physically send the assistant over there, turn on the modeling light, then you take a frame, the modeling light goes off. Bummer. Now, I can't reactivate that modeling light, right? So when you're in a pinch trying to do something creative and fast, that's a problem. This is all software, firmware. Come on, guys, you bring me on as an advisor. Let's make this stuff happen. There is no perfect solution yet. Profoto could do it. Westcott surely could do it because, again, they're color accurate, great battery life, wonderful modeling light. The flash output color matches between all the heads, unlike Godox. The minute you get multiple Godoxes together in the same environment, they create their own radio frequency interference if you're not using all of the same model. They have to be all 8200s or all their round flashes. The minute you start mixing their heads, stuff goes awry. Because again, we've had photographers that do that, and I've played with them because I thought their flash system was going to be really cool with the 8200. I think it's a banging unit in that you could put two of them together, get 400 watt seconds, you got modeling lights, high speed sync, until you try and do the triangle of light, which I use everywhere. And that's another topic, right? I'll put a link to all of our lighting classes. If you're not familiar with the triangle of light, it has revolutionized, seriously, the look of our work, right? Because it's old school lighting with layers of light. Not to overpower the scene, but to add that sparkle to the scene. So let's turn that modeling light off. So let's see, I've talked about modeling lights, right? We could turn them up and down. And Westcott has a new flash. The difference is it's not a touch screen on their Speedlite, which I happen to like. Tactile, I like buttons. This touch screen sometimes is infuriating, right? You're touching it, touching it, touching it, touching it, and nothing is changing, right? It's just not happening. So with buttons, things move, they lock, they're done, right? It's quick, it's faster than trying to be fun with a touch screen, you know? Engineers like to give us things that are kind of what I think are gimmicky, but give me something that works, right? Again, no rock solid system. Again, Canon is my go-to. I always have the backup with the +4s. And again, the external battery is killer, right? Larry and I, two photographers, run off of this Bolt Cyclone battery an entire wedding. So our ceremonies are inside in a big ballroom wedding. Our receptions are inside. And I have never exhausted one of these guys. I've only made the light go down one notch, right? And if you need to, you could charge your iPhone or anything else that's USB. I don't even have a second battery. I did for the previous generation of the Bolt, but this one is even better. And running 2 Speedlights off of it all day, and the Canon does not die, right? So they've got the recycle time and the battery, but they don't have the reliable communication. So that really wouldn't be hard. It really, for a company the size of Canon, if Profoto and Westcott could come up with a proprietary, reliable radio signal within the 2.4 spectrum that works, come on, Canon, get with the program, right? Again, for TTL, red carpet stuff, man, this is just outstanding. And like I said, I don't really worry too much about TTL with off-camera because my off-cameras are usually in manual mode. My on-camera is usually TTL. My off-cameras are usually an 1/8 to 1/4 to a 16th power and use the power of the ISO. We're just adding that kiss of light, right? So that's a lot, right? And again, with the +4, I have groups A, B, C, D. So for my triangle of light, if I want to turn groups off, I can, but I can't raise the power up or down. Mrs. Davis, you coming in to say hello? Go live?
Nah.
Why not? You're the one that inspired me or encouraged me to share because, you know, this stuff is a lot of money, right? And people are looking for a system that's going to work. And sadly, we don't have one perfect ecosystem that's 100% reliable. Again, they all have...
Say hi, boo-boos.
This is Blue, our puppy Blue. He's the cutest boy ever. He's the happiest dog in the world. So, I hope that was helpful. If you have questions, hey Pi, how's it going? You're Mr. Profoto. I don't know if you find it frustrating that Profoto truly does not have independent groups, meaning I would love if Profoto would give me truly independent groups, like they're kind of on the way to doing with the Profoto Connect. Because again, they're very reliable, right? This radio signal is going to work. I wish we could have the external battery because, here, look at this. When I go on an event with the Profotos, I've got, 10 pounds of batteries. So I have 3 for every flash head. I've got 5 of the A1s, so I can have them charging. And they do die. They die quickly, whether I'm using the modeling light or not. But they have very accurate TTL across all of my cameras, R5, R6, R3. And they've been that accurate, and I don't think they've had a firmware update in forever, right? But come on, again, Profoto, give us two-way communication so I know from the back of an A unit what that off-camera flash output is at. Even in TTL, do I know is it plus or minus? And if I'm bringing it down to truly create independent ratio, where is it at, right? Far more accurate. Canon does all that. Westcott does all that. Westcott is just not that reliable currently with TTL for both my R5 and R3. Carrie White, our photographer who's using Nikon, she's got much better results with the Z9 than I do with the R3 and the R5. Now, on the back of the Westcotts, because again, I test everything, if I'm going to have, whoops, that freaked me out, I thought it was dropping. Each one of my heads, I know the bias of the flash power. So let's take this off of the Westcott sender unit, and we go B, and we put it in TTL. So I know in TTL for the R5, the Westcott needs to be +1, right, for TTL. Now, if I'm going to use the R3, it's really 1.9 or 1.7, right? To get a full histogram so that I have information from left to right for a TTL exposure. That's kind of a pain in the butt that across the board with the cameras like Profoto and Canon, it's not that accurate. And again, the quirkiness of all of the TTL being biased and connected to group A, right? The communication's rock solid, modeling lights are great, battery life is far better than the Profoto A series or A2 series. I've really not had too much of a concern to have the external flash, but when I'm using Westcotts for the triangle of light, I use the FJ200s as my off-camera flash, and those batteries, again, are amazing. I don't feel the need to have the external battery pack because they just go and go and go and go, especially at an 1/8 and 1/4 power. Those batteries just last. Now again, I don't go to a scene or an assignment, whatever you want to call it, without enough batteries and chargers because I'm not going to be caught with my pants down. All right, so let's come over here and see what questions we've got. Hey, Joel Lerner, John Wick, how are you? There we go. Just checking to see if anybody has any questions that I can address at this time. And then we're going to talk about flash power, right? Adam Kent, yeah, I miss you too. Hopefully we'll see each other at WPPI. And this is on Insta. And let me come over here. Hey, Sandus. John. So John is at JR is asking, RF interference has caught me a couple of times. It's a bit challenging because you can set up everything in advance and then things go wrong. This is true. So wireless mics are the biggest challenge with the Canon flashes, as is dynamic routers in a ballroom setting. So whenever you're at a hotel or a venue, look up at the ceiling, find the Wi-Fi box. And if it's blinking, that means it's in dynamic. And when it's in dynamic, either go to the Westcotts or put on the Pocket Wizard Plus 4s. Because like JR just said, you might go in there and test before things start going, and it all works. And then all of a sudden it's the first dance and everything goes south, right? It's not working at all. So again, we know certain venues. Larry, help me out here. Terry, it is the Ritz-Carlton, Chicago. Man, that's like a black hole for the Canon Speedlights. Once in a great while it works. So we automatically put the Pocket Wizard Plus 4s on the light stand with the flash in it. Now when you put this on there, you have to set the flash to manual mode. Remember, not TTL. And I'll show you what I mean. We are going to put this radio off, manual mode. Like I said, I'm usually around an 8th power. Okay, now we put it on the transceiver, and then I'm going to lock it into group B. So now this is just a manual flash that will fire every time in group B. So come over here, and as I hit it, there we go, right? Firing so fast it's not making it, right? So that's going to be our rock solid. Oh, channel 4. Let me get it in channel 4. All right. So here, if you can see that, right? That's an 8 power, no external battery, man. That'll just crank all day, right? And it's totally reliable because, like I said, this is in, I want to say it's the 400. Yeah, 344.04 to 354 megahertz range. There's nothing there anymore. Once in a while, certain fluorescent lights will oscillate in that frequency range and cause interference, but that hasn't happened to me in a decade or more, right? At least with Canon, with the newer Pocket Wizards that they have, you can plug them into the PC sync, which is right here, right? And if you have to, you can rubber band it to the top, Velcro it to the top, whatever the case may be. Always have a backup plan. Last thing you want to be is dead in the water and your off-camera lighting not working. Again, the advantage of the Plus 4 is the pass-through shoe. So I could be out on the dance floor and have a flash in TTL and it works. For some strange reason, check this out, right? Let's just say I want to fire my Canon Speedlights off camera with the Plus 4 while still using the Westcott on camera, whatever reason, right? I don't know why the Westcott does not like the pass-through shoe. Now, that's another one of these quirky things. Profotos don't mind it, right? So, see, it's not firing. Flash isn't firing, right? Boom, boom, boom. No fire. I have no idea why. And I've rotated, I have 5 Plus 4s. I have no idea why that happens, right? So I could take the Profoto, and let's say again, I want to have the off-camera flash, the EL1s with the Bolt battery, because they're just going to go all day and I don't have to worry. And I could use the A1 on here. The A1 fires, right? The A1 is on. Boom, 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 right? So it fires. Why? I don't know. Again, I test all this stuff out so I know every quirk of every lighting system that I am going to use. So let's jump over here and talk about the Stella. Who has a question about the Stellas, right? Stellas are pretty cool. They're a hybrid light. Hybrid meaning, I'm going to move these guys off so I don't run into them. Hybrid meaning is it's a continuous light that is also a rapid flash. Now, because this is not a thyristor or a capacitor that is in most electronic flashes, it's power turning on, power turning off. So recycle time is just ludicrous. So let me make sure we've got the C, that's in C. Okay, turn the modeling light on. Okay, I'll turn that off, right? Now, oh, here's another thing. Here's how you figure out exposure for these. You could turn on the modeling light. I could control it either with a Godox or a Profoto, bring the power down to figure out where I want my power to be, right? Now again, it's not two-way communication. I have to look at the back of the flash, or I take an exposure and lock it in. What is amazing, and we'll turn this off, is it'll just fire, right? Boom, 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 boom. Dig that, right? You know, let's bring the power up. All right, we'll put it at half power. And again, it's gonna fire like crazy, right? Now, feedback that I gave them, they've improved the battery life. They came out with a new battery that's giving more power to the Stella head, but still, I know the flash output for all my lights. I do a 10-foot test, 250 ISO, and I want to know at 10 feet every time at full power what that power is going to be. And I have a little notes section in my phone. So I know at full power at 10 feet at 250 ISO, this will give me 5.6, right? Now, the Speedlights are way more powerful as a flash than the Stella, right? So let's do this. I'll put the Speedlight here. And remember, you have to have a reflector, right? So with Stella, they have what they call optics. And the optics is the lens in front of it. This is a medium optic. So I would say it's a 35 or 50 millimeter, right? I am powering up this A1, and that's in group B, right? And what I'm gonna do is take my flash meter. I've got a mark on the floor. That's a piece of tape, blue tape, 10 feet, right? I've got my Sekonic flash meter. All right, 200, 250. Now I want to see, is that 5.6? Okay, so we are turning off group B. Turn the head off, which is right here. And now we're just going to fire the Stella. I'm going to come behind the camera and pop a flash, right? And it's not at full power. This was half power. So we're at aperture 3.6, okay? So I'm going to turn it all the way up, right? Now I've used these in places where they say no flashes allowed. Okay. So now that's at full power. I'm going to reset this, come back to the 10-foot mark on my floor, right in alignment with the Stella. We pop it, and we get aperture 5, right? There we go. So I have to be between 8 and 9 feet to get aperture 5.6. So now I'm going to go 9 feet. Let's pop that flash again, right? And I'll get 5.6 at 9 feet, right? Now, let's turn off the Stella. It's in group C. I'll turn the head off. We'll go to group B, power the head on. I'm in manual. And again, see, I don't know where it was at. I put it at power level 10, which is full power. So same thing, 10 feet. I'm going to pop the Profoto. Now, 250, They're both $1,000, by the way, unless they're on sale. $250, aperture 14. Now, all day long I could live with that, right? I don't need high-speed sync, anything like that, because I know at 10 feet, with this, the lens focused to 35 millimeter, I could get aperture 14. So in your head, if you're working outside and it's bright sunlight, and for whatever reason, high-speed sync is fuzzy logic to begin with, it's not giving you the results, boom, go to 10 feet, full manual, you know you're going to get aperture 14 within the sync speed range. The minute you go to high-speed sync, as it is with all the flashes except for the Stellas, the light pulsates, so that's going to cut this power by half, at least. So there's no way my flash will meter at high-speed sync, right? But I know just from experience, if I take the camera back there, I put, well, maybe it will. Let's see. I could put the trigger from first curtain sync to high-speed sync, but it's not, oh, and I could put this on the R3. That's what I'll do, right? And we're not changing the flash output, anything. And I'll use the flash meter to measure. All we did is we've gone from 200th of a second sync speed to, I'm just going to pick 500th of a second, right? So we're ready to go. I'm going to fire the flash in single frame. So we went from full power at sync speed. Now I do this with all these lights so that I know. It went from f14 at 10 feet manual. I haven't changed anything but the shutter speed. So here's the fuzzy logic of high-speed sync. We're at f8. So I know if I'm outside, oh, at 500th of a second, I'm at f8. Now, what happens if we double it again? Go to 1,000th of a second. I'll bet you this will be at f5, right? 10 feet. Oh, not bad. Only one stop, 7.1, right? It's been a while since I've done this test. Okay, 7.1. Usually if I'm outside, I'll be at 1250 because that gets me where I want to be. Aperture 5.6, 250 ISO. That really does a nice job. So let's see what that looks like. 1250 shutter speed. And let's see what aperture we get at 250. So we're still at aperture 7. Rock solid, right? So then we could do those same tests with your Canon, your Godox, whatever the flash you're using. So you'll know if you need to use high-speed sync in manual, what is the true flash output and power. Or TTL, it might be different, right? I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking so that I know when we're in that situation with a couple or a subject, head out there, get the shot. Don't sit there and chimp in front of them and take a bunch of test shots, right? All right. So what other quirks do we have? Oh, yeah. The Stella is not affected by high-speed sync, not affected by shutter speed, again, because it's not discharging of a capacitor. It's just turning the light on and off. So you get no fluctuation in the flash output regardless to shutter speed. But remember, it's already less than half. So we were at f14 at 10 feet at 250 ISO, and this one was 5.6. So a lot less flash output, right? So I have these on loan. Again, right tool for the right job. A good hybrid light. You could get more oomph out of it if we change the optic to a spot optic, of course, because it's going to focus the light and narrow it down. All right, I think I've communicated about everything that I wanted to share. Let me just check on some questions. Carrie White, yes, I know the pass-through shoe. I've been asking him about that forever. Why is it quirky? Why does it not like a pass-through shoe? Again, these dumb little things that make it past engineering. Is that what it is? Or it's not quality control, it's just engineers, right? Same thing, remember, TTL on Westcott is only, TTL to manual, is only for Group A. They just dropped a video today on the Westcott channel explaining TTL to manual, And they were showing it in group A, but it leads you to believe that that works for all the groups because the transmitter had active groups B and C, right? So they weren't trying to mislead you. I just don't think they actually dove deep enough to share that, because a younger, inexperienced photographer who doesn't test their gear is going to have a couple lights set up, boom, take it, drop TTL to manual, and wonder why this stayed at, let's say, full power. Oh, let's talk about the flash power ratings. All right, so let's come over here. We'll start with Profoto, right? Okay. Who else loves 1 to 10? Really? Come on. We've been using full, half, quarter, eighth, 16th, 1/32 power forever, right? Why 1 to 10? Come on. So at least Westcott did make the change and gives you the option to be a decimal or a fraction. So I don't know if anybody else is really familiar, if you have the A series, what this means. 10 is 1 to 1, full power. Each one of these numbers, and it's the same for Westcott, only Westcott goes to 9. It doesn't go to 10. All right, so 10, when we drop it to 9, is half power. Okay, I had to sit there with a meter because that made absolutely no frickin' sense to me. If you're on a scale 1 to 10, I don't know, I'm kind of simple, logical. I would think that half power would be 5. Who else is with me thinking half power would be 5, right? But it's not. Each decrease in power, one full stop, is one full stop of light. So that's half, and we go to 8, right? Oh, I went the wrong way. Sorry, I'm backwards. So we go to 8, that's quarter, okay? Go to 7, that's an eighth. Follow me? Right? Once you know that, then, because oftentimes I know what an eighth power will look like. I'll know what a 16th power will give me at 1600 ISO across the room, right? Boom, I had to think about this, right? And then we want 16th power, right? So on and so on and so on, right? So, same thing with the Westcott. If we are in, put this one in manual mode. Now, I've set it up in the custom function for the Westcotts to be fractions, because I know the fractions, right? I know an eighth power. Oh, I'm in mode, power. There we go. I know a quarter, half, 1 to 1, right? I know what that looks like. I know what that means. Canon, it is no decimal point. It is, where are we at here? Here we go, EL1. Right? EL1. And we have our flash power here. Right now, it's in group B. Right? Now, okay, I've seen this, right? Please don't laugh. I'm going to laugh because, well, I think it's funny. But I have seen pretty accomplished photographers say to people, hey, go change that light over there, the B light, to manual, and I want it to be an eighth power. Remember, everything is done right from your sender unit, whether it's a Speedlite transmitter, whether you're diving through the menu in the camera to do it. So if I am in, let me set this up, turn wireless on, and I'm in groups. I don't bother to use anything else besides groups because I love the flexibility of groups. It allows me to do anything and everything that I want. So right now it is in TTL, right? So I'm going to come over here on my Canon flash, and I'm going to go down to group B, and they're sticky. What I mean by that is wherever I left it in its mode, it will change, right? So I'm going to put it in manual mode, and we're going to put it at an eighth power. Now, the minute I hit the test fire button, there we go, the flash drops to manual mode, eighth power, right? Now, if I want to turn that group off on my sender unit, I could go to B and turn it off. See, we could turn it off. And that's what I mean. If Canon could get the communication system down, this is just the most fluid system I've ever used. It doesn't say off here, but it is off here. And you could have as many sender units as you want. One will just say sender or subsender. The 600s used to be a green and an amber light, but the EL1s and the EL5s are all green lights. But up here on the very top in the menu, light it up, it'll say sender or subsender if you have more than one, right, for transmitters. Profoto, this really was a Bob Davis update, right? Talking to Sweden, pushing. I noticed when I first got the A1s that I'm photographing, these are the quirks, right? I've got the second camera here, 70 to 200. I've always got two cameras, 70 to 200 over my shoulder, either the 15 to 35 or 24 to 105 on camera. And it's firing, and all of a sudden I'm getting this weird underlight during cocktail hour on our subjects. I'm like, what the hell? So finally I popped the test fire and I realized the second speed light for the Profoto was firing. I'm like, you gotta fix that, help me out here. So now they have transmit only. So be sure when you're in air with the Profotos, put your sender unit in transmit only, and you could have as many, again, sender units as you want in transmit only. So thereby you're not firing one that's on a camera, you know, your second camera as a second transmitter. It's not going off, giving you weird results. So that one I pushed a lot for. I think that's it, right? That's a lot. That's a brain dump. Godox, like I said, they have their quirks. They're inexpensive. They're not going to serve you for a lifetime. They're not accurate. They're not color accurate. I haven't tried the new Round 1 Pro that just was released with a little wink light flash in the front. Cool concept, good idea, right? Everything has its plus, everything has its minus. Where I'm really going with this is understand your gear, practice with it, know its flash output at 10 feet, because that's something you could go to at any point in time. Know what is going to happen, even if it's in manual full power, when you jump your shutter speed above sync, let's say to 500, then 1,000, know what the flash output's going to be. It gets you out of a lot of jams, and that way there you're more confident when you're out doing your shoots. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, any concerns, drop it in the feed. If you found this useful, please share it. We're trying to grow our knowledge base. I'm going to be sharing this to our YouTube channel as well. I think this worked pretty good. I got my old iPhone for Instagram and my new iPhone for Facebook. Cool. Let's see. Any questions? Ryan Shrembry, all the way from Australia. How's it going? Hope to be at WPPI. Hopefully Canon will bring me out there. Jensen says, what's the Westcott FJ82 attached to exactly, and what's in between the stand and the light? Okay. The FJ82 was on my Canon for the R3. So the Canon R3 and the R6 Mark II have what they call a hybrid shoe, a multifunction accessory shoe. This adapter for the R3 allows a rubber gasket weather seal, and it also protects these gold contacts which power other devices in the shoe of the R3, R6 Mark II. I really hope Canon does not go by the way of Sony. So the EL5, it's a nice smaller unit, same flash output power as the EL1, but it's the hybrid shoe. It only works on two or three cameras currently, right? I know the R3 and the R6 Mark II. I don't know some of the smaller prosumer camera bodies have a hybrid shoe. But anyways, I'm not a fan of that, right? I want to be able to put this on all of my Canon cameras, my legacy cameras, everything. So even with this pass-through shoe, like if I do shoot in some pretty crappy weather, right? Outside in the rain, the EL1s are weather resistant. The Westcott is not. So even still with this pass-through shoe, sometimes it fires, sometimes it doesn't. See, it's not firing. Come on, right? Canon requires this in order to create the weather seal and to not damage the gold contacts in this shoe. So why doesn't it fire? You got me. I've asked and asked and asked, right? But Profoto does, right? Godox does, no problem, right? So it's beyond me why Westcott, it's got 5 pins, right? The bottom of it is the same as every other shoe. Why it doesn't work is beyond me, right? It's just infuriating. Like I said, work with me. Come on, I'll go to your place. I'll go to Japan. I'll go to wherever you're making these lights. I'll help you dial this in, and we'll make the one flash system to rule them all, right? That's all we want, is things that we could depend on and work. We'll spend the money, but we need it to work, right? Because we can't worry about the gear if we're missing moments, right? And that's what it's all about, is capturing moments. I may seem like a technical photographer, but that's only because the more I understand how something is working, the more I could fix it in a pinch or work around it in the field. All right, guys, share the light. I hope this was useful. Share this information. You know, like I said, I'll be answering questions. I'll put links to all these units in the comments, and I will upload it to YouTube as well. So let me know what else you'd like to see. I'm happy to share. All right, have a great evening. Share the light.